Hello and welcome. This is the updated dropper super smelter. We've managed to get it to 16 furnaces, or 32 if you use the double-sided one, and we've managed to make the build a little bit more compact. So in this video I'm going to show you what's so good about having a 32 or 16 furnace silent super smelter, how it works and how you build it. Let's get started. So I'm currently at the 16 furnace smelter. As you can see, there's no fuel yet. And that's because we're going to exactly load it with just enough fuel to run it and just enough items to smelt. So I'll put the fuel in, we'll put the items in, and as you can hear, no ticks, no mine carts, just complete silence. However, as we can see, each furnace has exactly the same amount of items in it. And what will happen is those bamboo blocks will be distributed exactly evenly, so there's 2 in each one, and the gold will be distributed so there's exactly 3 in each one, meaning a perfect smelt. As you can see, it's already arriving back over here, and we're not even hearing a tick. And that'll continue for the entire operation of the furnace, so long as you put in, an amount of items that is exactly a multiple of the number of furnaces. If you don't do that, it's still pretty quiet. You just get a single dropper tick instead of nothing. But either way, it's incredibly quiet, and honestly, it's not that hard to build. So these are the circuits that you need to understand. So we're going to have a comparator watching a hopper feeding into our dropper. This is going to head into the side of a comparator in subtract mode that just, goes into a repeater so we get a full signal. And this is holding our fader clock. Now the fader clock is just a standard, 2 comparators going one way, 2 comparators going the other way with a block. The only difference is we have a bit of redstone dust here on top of this, target block, repeater, and a torch. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4 ticks if it goes round, but it's also 1, 2, 3, 4 ticks if it comes over the top. And this basically allows the whole thing to run at hopper speed even when it's resetting. So if we just put some items in here, for example, let's get some random items. And I just put them in here. You'll see the clock starts up, but you'll also see that the number of items in the dropper stays constant, and this is true even as the clock cycles round. So there'll always be that number of items coming back and forth in the dropper, and that's how it manages to stay quiet. But it also means that, apart from backing up in furnaces, it's not going to back up. We're just using a normal, clock, so this is, as you can see, dropping down and then comes back up again. I think we just ran out of items, so we might do that again just to demonstrate. So as you can see over on the right, it ticks down and then it'll hit 0 for the same amount of time as it ticks everything else and then comes up again. Now, unlike the previous design, we've got a much smaller circuit here, and this is because instead of trying to shorten the pulse on every tick that comes down the line, every change that goes down the line, we really just need to do that for the last observer, and we do it like this. So we basically have, it's essentially a rising edge detector. So when that's 1, it'll stay 1 for 4 ticks, which means this will trigger twice, 2 pulses on this observer. But because it's 1, it'll come into this block, also doing this comparator, but then this repeater on 2 ticks will just turn that off again. So we can sort of see that if I turn this on and off, we get 2 ticks over here, but only 1 tick there, and that's basically what allows us to use a more simple clock. If we put it all together, we basically get something like this. So this is that same clock, comparator facing in from the hopper over there into your first dropper, into the side of a comparator in subtract mode, that goes into a block, that goes into a comparator, that goes into a block, that's then next to a bit of redstone dust and comes back the other way, with the target, repeater, and block with a torch on top just to be able to reset it when it gets to 0 again. This then runs this line over here, and this rising edge detector just triggers the last one. Now we've been running this for a while, so it should be done, and we can see that we've got exactly our 48 gold. And if we go into our furnaces again, we'll see that we've left no fuel behind. It's been essentially a perfect smelt. So with that out of the way, let's have a look at how we build the 16 version of the smelter. I'm not going to build the 32 version in this video, however, if you'd like a tutorial for that as well, please let me know in the comments below. So we'll just start with our furnace line. So I'm just going to have an output chest here. Now you don't have to have the output chest at the end of your furnace line. You can put wherever you want. It's just a hopper line. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. We'll put our furnaces on top. Now we'll put our furnaces, our hoppers in behind our furnaces. And on top. And I'm just going to use these barrels as temporary blocks for a moment. We'll just run our dropper lines. So the dropper line starts one off the end of it and then comes along. Oop. Make sure they face forward. And the last one is a barrel. And we do that same over here. And the last one is a barrel. And that's our two dropper lines. Now we just need to do the circuits for it. So here I am about to build the circuit. I've just got some building materials. So we're just going to put one last hopper into the side of both of these. And that's what we're going to watch on our circuit. So we'll just come underneath it. So one there. And we'll have a comparator coming out of there and then into one in subtract mode. We're just going to have a composter here with one level in it. From there, we're going to take that into a repeater, into a bit of redstone dust. And then we'll just build a little platform off over here for our fading circuit. So comparator and subtract mode, second comparator, comparator, comparator. Then we're just going to build up some blocks. So one here, one here. We can put down some redstone dust now. So two at this end, one at that end, and up here. And then we want the signal to come back over this way. So we're just going to put a target block there, repeater here, another block above this one, and a torch on the end of that. And what you'll see is if I get rid of this dust, you can see it fades around and then resets at the end of the fade. So there it goes, round again. So we'll just put the dust there, and all that does is subtract the signal so that it doesn't have to wait till it finishes fading. It just stops the signal as soon as possible. So now we just have to take this line here, all the way to our last there. I'm just going to grab myself some observers. We'll do our observer line. So the first one goes here for the first dropper. And then we just come next to it all the way along. Now, if you're a little bit worried about whether you've counted this out correctly, it's pretty straightforward. Just get rid of that one there. So we're just going to add some dust along here. Okay, and if I just want to check to see if this is working correctly, I can just grab myself a lever, put the lever on this block here. That gives that a full signal. So we just want to make sure that this signal is just 1, and it is. So we'll just put our last block here, comparator there. Like I said, you just want to make sure it lasts there. So if I went too far, it would instead look like this, because it doesn't quite reach. So we'll just go back there again. Repeater on 2 ticks, and it needs to be 2 ticks because we want to get at least 1 pulse out of that. And then we just need to run some redstone signal back around again. So just 2 dust will achieve that just nicely. We don't have to put it in subtract mode. That's only going to be 1, that's going to be more than 1, so it doesn't matter. And that's our first distribution line. So let's quickly do the second one. So again, we come under the hopper, compounder in subtract mode with compost behind it. Come out to repeater, dust, come out again, all the way past the composter, just like that. Compounder in subtract mode, second compounder, third compounder, fourth compounder. We build up the blocks, add the dust up here as well. Then we get our target block, put that there, our regular block, our torch, and our repeater here. And that basically will allow it to reset. Come back over here, back along here. And we can do our observers, since that's what I've got in my hand at the moment. 1, 2. All the way along. Except for the last one where we'll have just one observer. So one there. And we're just going to match the other side. So there, 1, 2, up 2, and there and there. So our compounder, repeater on 2 ticks, solid block, and we just need some dust now. So dust, dust, and then all along in front of these observers. Okay, and then I just need to put another chest here, and we can actually test this now. So let's get ourselves some coal. We got 16, so we only need 16 coal, and we'll get some raw iron in this case. And because like it's going to do 2 stacks, so we'll do 2 stacks of iron, because you'll get 2 stacks out of 16 coal. Just put our fuel in, and our furnace stuff in, and we'll just come over here and we'll watch the furnaces light up and check that they all light up. If it's gone correctly, and obviously there's been a mistake because I've left that on. So it seems like we made a few mistakes on that build, but they've been fixed now. So I had a lever here that shouldn't have been here. I needed to make sure that this comparator was in subtract mode, and that composter was at level 1. This composter needs to be at level 1, and that needs to be in subtract mode. Subtract mode, single tick, subtract mode. And while we're at it, just make sure you double check that repeater is in 2 ticks and that repeater is also in 2 ticks. So let's just try this test again. So coal in here, iron in here. We can see the flashing along here, so that's working, and we can see they sort of come along one by one and then start over again. And that's already run through. We can see our furnace is going at the moment. And we can see that each furnace has got in just 1 piece of coal and has the same amount of iron. And this is already coming out here. Now, you might not want to have your arrangement like this. Obviously, you might want to have your chests together. That's pretty straightforward. It's just a matter of building a little bit of a tower, so we'll do that. We'll just come a little bit further out, and I'll just build a tower up here. And we'll just build our hoppers out over this way. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you don't have to build out this far. I'm just sort of demonstrating that you don't have to have your inputs quite here. So we can sort of go like 1, 2, 1, 2, there. And put an output just here. And then sort of have it out like that. And then you can build a wall around these so that you can hide all your stuff together. Powering this is pretty straightforward. You just build yourself a little clock tower. Drop a clock tower. They're pretty basic. Just a repeater. We'll grab ourselves some slabs and some dust. And a repeater while we're at it. So a repeater here. Solid block. Well, actually we might put a note block there. So note block there. Solid block here. Bit of dust, and subtract mode. We get ourselves some observers and a target block. So we put the target block here and the observer on top and pointing inwards. If I can just get my character come down like this. And what this does is it just means if we put like a stack here, it just silently gets moved up into this chest without any clicks. Nice and easy. So we can then just finish running our... I'll put that on the wrong side. We'll just move this to the other side. So block, target, dust, repeater, get rid of the one on this side. And then the only other thing you want to do is you want to take composts and just put them on top of these hoppers. Just stops the hoppers looking for items to pull in. We'll just do that along here as well. So obviously you don't have to have them quite this far out. The build is relatively nice to dropper towers because if the observers even come up in this column, it's fine. But that's about it. As we can see, we've got some items coming in from our previous smelt, so we've already got some iron in here from our previous test. And that's it for the 16 version. For the 32 version, as I said before, it's not too hard. As you can see, this comparator is just watching a hopper that's... So this was the hopper that you'd normally watch with that comparator. Instead, you put a barrel there and another hopper here. It does have to be a barrel between that hopper and this hopper, and you can just watch the top hopper instead. This allows you to move this whole circuit up, so that instead of coming off over here, the whole circuit's now moved 2 up, so the redstone line is down here. Other than that, this circuit's exactly the same. We put a line of solid blocks along here, just to stop the 2 redstone lines connecting. This circuit's unchanged, it's exactly as we built the first time. And instead of having a repeater here for the top line coming around, we've got 2 dust here, so instead of going off that one, we just go 2 dust here, so that when that one's 1, that one's also 1, 2 ticks, and just get the line over to the comparator, and that's it. That's 1 half. You just build the other half identical to the first half to get the double. And then all you have to do is do the dropper tower. It's a very similar design, it's just a little bit different. Because we can't pulse into the side of the dropper directly, because if there's 2 droppers next to each other, if I pulse directly into one of these, it would trigger both of them and get them to conflict with each other. So instead of pulsing every second dropper all the way up the tower like we did over there, we basically pulse every line up, but we pulse into a solid block next to the droppers, so that when we power this dropper here, we're not powering the one next to it as well. And to do that, instead of watching the node block that the comparator goes into, you just watch the repeater instead. Otherwise, the tower works exactly the same way. I'll just put some items in here to demonstrate. As you can see, it's still silent. We've still got items coming in here, and you can mirror that design over here so that it all doubles up, which is essentially what we've done over here. We've got our observer towers coming up right through that little gap in the corner of this design on both sides. So that's the 16 furnace and 32 furnace completely silent dropper based super smelter. Thank you for watching.